All right, I'm gonna get started. Sorry about the orientation on this, but for some reason it's not allowing me to film it sideways.
Gardener.
Oh, Gardner's here. All right, close it. So there might be some lawnmower sounds and all that kind of stuff going on in the background. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm gonna get started working on this cardinal wing right now. How's everybody doing? So I based the entire painting when I first started. This color right here is a raw sienna. Instead of using red to do this whole bird, because I always find that red itself tends to be kind of transparent when I'm using cadmium red or like different reds. And like one of the first things I ever noticed from learning how to paint was trying to paint a heart, like my very first time using acrylics, and it was so transparent. It took so many layers of red just to get it to read right on the canvas. I gave up and just went back to markers and colored pencils at the time. But over time, I found that when I use either warm grays or burnt sienna and do like an underpainting and then glaze the red over the top, it goes much quicker and my red sticks and stays. So yeah. So I started glazing some alizarin crimson on this side to start building in some shadows. And I started dropping a little bit of cadmium red over the top of the raw sienna so that you can start getting more of your reds through. You can see that red right here, that's cadmium red layered over the tops of some orange and raw sienna is just, oh, let me show you over here. Here we go. So this wing is done. And you'll see it's got all the different, like there's oranges and yellows and different types of reds in there. But the cadmium red went over here after I did all my rendering so that it reads like I was using red the whole time. So we're just gonna do that right here. I'm gonna turn up the classical music in the background. All right. And I brought in a previous cardinal for reference. So this is the one you see in the advertisement for what we're doing today. And this one's finished. And since you guys are the first ones here, I'll show you another one that nobody's seen yet. Hopefully I don't drop it in my water bucket. And it's my queen. So I'm doing a jack, a queen, and a king. And yeah, I'm working on a card deck that's going to be working on with Brad Fulton, who has a great card company. So I'll let you guys know that here now. I'm really excited to be working on it. So yeah. Here we go. I'm actually going to use a little bit of alizarin crimson and just draw in where these wings are going to go so that I have a place to shadow them. And sometimes I'll do these sketching in with white charcoal pencil, but really, it's not that necessary today to do so. And that noise in the backyard won't be going on for too long. We have a small backyard. Will we be able to buy the cards? Of course. It's something I've always wanted to do, and thanks to we're at, I'm gonna be able to do it. So pretty stoked. So I wanna make sure that these feathers balance properly with the wing on the other side. So kind of looking at that wing, making sure it matches. Do a little shading along the way. So yeah, another reason for doing these videos is you can see how slow this process really is. It's not quick like the sped up time lapses. It's not glamorous. For me, it's fun. I enjoy it. So I get lost in my head and make up stories while I go and think of what the next big painting's gonna be or how this painting's gonna connect to another one. And if you guys stick around till the end, I think we should do this for about an hour. I'll show you around the studio and some of the things I'm working on. Let me turn some of this music down a little bit. All right. So I'm working big sections to small sections. I just want to drop in some shadow here because if the lights come in from over here, it's going to shadow it a little bit where it curves. Actually, I should shadow this area too, but I don't feel like it right now, so I'm not going to. And so alizarin crimson is very transparent, so I can see over all my line work. It's pretty warm and dry over here today, so everything's drying pretty quickly as well. I have my slow dry mixture, which I have made videos about before in my palette. I'll show you my messy palette real quick. See what I'm working with here. And yes, I keep it messy like that. I don't know why, it's just always been that way for over 25 years. So, get all my paints to select over here. And it's just the way I roll, I guess. Not the cleanest painter. All right. I think I'm gonna work this area a little bit since I'm working my way over to here, and I know there's going to be an overlap with feathers right here. I should work this section first because it's behind whatever's going to come over here. So I always work from like behind to forward, whatever's in the furthest back. I want my light source kind of coming like right around here, so I'm going to do all this area right here. For your base, when you decide to use color or just black and white like with the feathers, I know you plan to add color on top, but why black and white instead of a color base? That's a good question. I actually never use black and white as a base. I usually will use some kind of earth tone, either a raw umber, like a raw sienna, burnt umber. I like the way the warm tones work. They work good for me for like an underpainting. And once I start washing in the colors, you kind of get that warmness into the whatever you're adding color to. On projects like this, with I have just the bold white background, I'm not going to be washing over the entire thing. I want to just kind of start working with this sienna, this red tone, because I know this whole piece is going to just all be reds, and I just figure save time. And I know I'm going to go back in and start washing all kinds of colors into it no matter what I'm using, but I guess it's just a preference and the mood I'm in. I generally, I'll do underpaintings section by section in my big pieces and then fully color them step by step along the way instead of waiting till the end. You'll see that at the end when I show you a little bit of the 8-foot painting I'm working on. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question. I guess it's just what mood I'm in during the day and that, whatever's going on. And please bear with me. I'm not that good at speaking over these things. That's why I don't really talk in my videos. But we'll make it work. I'll try to answer some questions as I go. Just washing in some cadmium red to start building up where it's going to be lighter. I get some texture and feel of what the feathers will look like. It's like I'm just feeling out the piece, trying to figure out where it wants me to go. I'm making mistakes as I go and covering them up and thinking on the canvas, like, what if I did this here? Oh no, that doesn't look good, cover it up. And I do that on all my paintings the entire time. It's just a series of mistakes until it looks right. What Bob Ross calls happy little mistakes. And I usually have my reference open, but I wouldn't be able to read your comments. So I'm keeping this other painting near me for reference. I am using you as an art history reference for my 6th grade class. They are creating animal drawings when school starts. That's awesome. Makes me feel old. Nah, I am getting old, I guess. So I want to do more of these live painting things, but I think next I should start doing them on Saturdays when people aren't at work. Do them in the morning. It's kind of was decided the other day I should do this, and then thinking about it after I announced it, I was like, man, I should have done it on Saturday. But I'm usually running the kids around to different activities and stuff, so I didn't this time, but I think next time I will. Do you prime your canvases in some way, or they come as is from the store? So I have a guy in Los Angeles. He's kind of like a small run operation, builds my canvases, and they're canvas wrap panels. So it's a panel that has canvas tied around it. So it's like you feel the wood behind it. That way there's no bounce. I don't like the bounce. I could do without it. So. And he does a really good job. He doesn't have a website. I don't understand how he does his business, but it works for me. Whatever he's doing he makes great canvases. And I get them primed, but I always prime them about one more time and then sand them. So you can hear the air blower outside. That's gonna be gone in a minute, so I apologize. My timing wasn't that. I didn't know that was gonna be going on today. But this is not a canvas that I'm working on right here. This is, it's basically an illustration board. It's a heavy duty like matte board, acid free, archival, all that stuff I get from my printer. And I got like, gosh, maybe 1,000 sheets one day. They were gonna get rid of them, and I was like, I'm gonna use those. And they let me have it, so I've been using them forever, and I love the way they look when you rip the edges. You get that deckled edge with it just looks like tons of ripped paper. So if the light's hitting here, you'll see the light there, and that'll be in shadow, that'll be in shadow, that'll be in shadow, and that'll be in shadow. So I don't know how far into details this is gonna get today. I'm gonna do my best to make it start looking great, but there's just a whole lot of getting messy before things start looking good. You guys probably all know that, and I'm preaching to the choir, but I just feel like it needs to be said. Put a little cat red in there. A little red in there. Do you have anything on the blending brush you're using to help blending, or is it just dry brush? It's a little bit of water. Right now I'm just using just water. And yeah, I usually use 2 brushes as I go. Almost always have 2 brushes in hand. One that has a little bit of water on it, a little damp, and one to apply the paint. I have a new brush set coming out with Trekell. It's a 2 brush set because of the way I like to work with 2 brushes in hand. You put the paint down, you blend off an edge, and all of a sudden, I just blended that color into that color without having it wet into wet. You lay down the paint and then you brush the edge off. You do that 1,000 million times in a painting, and then the painting's done. Got that in frame, yeah. Do you do glazes also? Yes, I do. It's almost as if the whole painting is a series of a bunch of glazes after a while. After you get it all built up, then you just start washing things back with color, and staining it all, glazing it all, whatever you want to call it. So I'll build it up too bright, like highlights. I'll do it on purpose. I'll even bring it up to white if I feel like it, because I know I'm just gonna do a wash or a glaze over the top of it. And once you get it up to like full white, if you build up highlights, it's good. That's as bright as the color you're gonna glaze over it. So if I build this up really bright right here to indicate a highlight, when I wash that red over it, that's gonna be super bright red right over the whitest spot. Let me see. This is a new character bird. Yeah, this is something new. I've had it in my sketchbook for years. But I finally am able to paint these. So there's 3 of them if you're in the beginning, and there's gonna be 12 by the end, but only 3 cardinals. I'm thinking of what I'm gonna do for the club and the diamond and the spade. I'm gonna do a crows. I might do black phoebes for the clubs, and I don't know what I'm gonna do for the diamonds. Maybe a vermilion flycatcher, which is one of my favorite birds I always paint. So yeah, I think I just figured it out. Thanks, guys. Looking over at my other painting. Okay, let's extend this up. slow, messy process, making mistakes and fixing them. Yeah, the weather today sucks too. It's dry in here. Me no likey. So I'm gonna put a little bit this clear stuff on here. This is my medium that I have a video on. I can add the video into the bio at the end if you guys want to see what I use to slow dry my acrylics. It's way back in my catalog, but it's there. You love my sketchbook draws. Thank you. My sketchbooks are very messy. I don't put too much time into polished work in there. It's just ideas. I'll take those ideas and I'll polish them later on separate pieces of paper, canvas, after I probably refined it a few times in like Photoshop or Procreate. That's pretty much been my way of working with my sketchbooks. I like them really messy. I like to be able to just mess around in them. I guess I said messy. I'm going to keep saying messy. I usually do warm-ups. I draw graffiti letters for a while. And then I'll start drawing faces and birds and different poses. Or I'll draw little cartoon characters around the letters, because that's pretty much how I got my kickstart into doing art, was doing graffiti. So drawing characters around the letters was kind of the way my characters started developing, and then the characters just took over and became my whole life. Even though I was already drawing like comic book stuff since I was a little kid, before all that came around. So just a bunch of full circles. How long do my paintings generally take? Depends on the painting. I've been working on this one to my left up here for months, and these smaller paintings like this one will take a couple days. It's a singular focus. There's no background. There's a few elements. But I've been able to knock out what you see before you, all this in one day. And now this is the second day. And I'm working on this wing, which probably because I'm filming, it might take me all day because I'm slower when I'm filming and talking. It's harder to concentrate, but that's okay. It's fun to share it, because a lot of you guys have asked a lot of questions in the past, which I'm happy to answer in this forum. I think this makes the most sense than kind of texting back and all that, because it's harder to explain in words. It's easier just to kind of show. Try to read your other. Is that your 4-year-old video, right? Probably. It might be 4 years old by now. Dang. Time's flying. I was talking to somebody the other day about how just realizing how fast everything's moving. I'll look at photographs, or I'll go to post an old painting and I'll see progress shots of like either my friends in the studio taking photos, and one of my kids will be in the photo. And let's say it's my youngest, who's 12 now. I saw this photo the other day. I was sitting painting a giant piece, and he's standing behind me in diapers watching me paint. I was like, holy crap, that was such a long time ago. But it felt like the painting was just like last year. Everything's flying by way too fast. I'm gonna be 50 in February, and I can't believe it. I still feel like I'm a freaking 20-year-old when I'm definitely not, because everything hurts. But yeah, time's flying faster and faster the older you get. I feel like summer just started and now the kids are back in school. Kind of sucks. I miss them being at home, but whatever. It's also good. I get more work done this way. Any of you guys out there have kids and dealing with life-work balance? I feel like let's bring in some shadows over here. right, I'm gonna mix some alizarin crimson with just a little bit of carbon black. I usually use Payne's gray, but I'm kind of running out, and I have a big giant painting packaged in front of my paint cabinet, and I can't get at it. So this is just gonna be a really, really, really dark red. And it probably looks like black on your side, but it's not. It's like a purpley, dark purpley red. I really wish I was able to shoot this horizontal. I think I need to do my research for next time, which I will. We'll get this all figured out and do more of these. Doing my paintings on fabric. I actually have some blankets out. I have a blanket out on my web store. I'm really happy with the way it came out. We're about to drop a new one for my painting Gather Round, which is this painting with a giant cockatoo on these clouds. He's a cockatoo serpent, octopus serpent. It's weird. And he's like telling a story to a bunch of blue jays. So we're about to turn that into a blanket, and it looks really good. The blankets are some of my favorite things we've produced. The quality is great. The one that we have here, my youngest son stole it, so that's his now. The second it came in, he was so excited. He's like, "That's mine," grabbed it and took off, so I let him have that one. I don't know if you guys seen, he did a paint and chat with me years ago when he was really little and still had glasses. It's fun. He's been coming in here during the summer and learning the program Blender, which is a 3D program that you could sculpt, do 3D building stuff, and animate. People make movies with it, and cartoons, video games, whatever. So he's been learning coding for the last few years, and now he's learning Blender. He wants to combine all those skills he's learning, which has been really exciting to watch. I still haven't learned Blender. I need to. I've messed with it a little bit. I use Nomad Sculpt on the iPad for all my 3D stuff. It's a lot simpler. It's like the simple version of ZBrush, I guess you could say. And the tools are great. The tutorials are great. There's a guy named Southern GFX and a guy named Drug Free Dave. You guys should check out if you're into making 3D stuff. But I've sculpted a toy that's going to be coming out soon, which I'm very excited. I was super stoked that I did the entire sculpt myself instead of having friends do it, because I always like to teach myself how to do things. I used to work in the video game industry, so I knew my way around the 3D world, but actually sculpting my own toy I had not yet done until now. So I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I plan on sculpting all my toys for the future. It's always been something I wanted more control over. And I got busy learning that program during the pandemic because, like everybody else, had a little bit extra free time. And now I use it when I lay out paintings and stuff too. I can sculpt an item, light it, discover how the shadows are going to react, and use that as my reference. There's just a lot you can do with it, and I like learning every tool I can. I remember when I first started learning Photoshop when I was 18, it was to make stickers for slapping on walls, slap tags for graffiti purposes. It's like everything started with graffiti for me. It's like, oh, I'd buy some sticker paper, throw it in my dad's printer. If I use this program, I can scan in a crayon box, change the spelling, take the Y out of Craola, throw an eyeball from Channel 2 News, CBS, throw that in the center. So I said Craola CBS, throw WI on the corners. This probably wasn't when I was 18. I was probably older by that point. But yeah, and then I just print them out and slap them up on walls back then in the 90s. But from doing that, I learned how to use those programs, and I was able to get jobs doing t-shirt graphics and whatnot. Yep, I worked on Tony Hawk, not for the PS2 though. I worked on it for the Xbox. It was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X, and that was for Treyarch, which got bought by Activision. So we got bought by Activision while we were working on it, and we took over from Neversoft with that project and just polished the whole game up for the Xbox because it was you could do more resolution. And I got hired to do textures. I was basically you give me a wireframe of the world and I make it look real. And I added all the graffiti in there. It was graffiti from my friends in actual spots actually painted in real life on some of the areas, like at the Venice thing. Even a spot I painted in real life was there. A lot of my graffiti got thrown in there, but I really try to focus more on my friends and people from my crews. A few of my friends that have passed away were in there as like a memorial. Yeah, so I got to work on that game. It's the best project I've ever worked on. The best team I've ever worked with. If I had to go back to a regular job, I've been doing this for about 20 years, but if I had to go back to like a regular job, it would be working with that team if they were still together. It was that good. The people were that great. And yeah, we'd work all night, pretty much live in the office, and it was always fun. I learned a whole lot that I use today, even just working my way around a computer, because that's all I was doing. It just helps me navigate how I'm going to lay out a canvas. Even like having those kind of skills, it's like it's good to learn every art tool that you can. And for all the people out there that say, "Why don't you use oils?" I've been practicing with oils a little bit too, so it's good to learn everything. Any more questions? You've been a little troublemaker in 90. I've probably been a little troublemaker since before that. Yeah, I started doing graffiti in 1992, and I haven't looked back. I painted a wall in East LA a few months ago with some friends with the WI crew, with my crew, with Fed Up, and he's awesome. If you're on Instagram, he's Selected by Design. That's his user. You can just type in Fed Up WAI. Dude's a maniac. But yeah, we painted a fun wall. He invited me to come paint with him, and I haven't been out. I pretty much only have time to get 1 or 2 in a year now, just being an old man and a dad, and my responsibilities over here and trying to get canvases done, but I still make sure to get a couple in. I always like to promote my friends and my crews too. They do great work. I think one of the best artists on the planet right now is my buddy Yano, Yanoe, and him and our buddy Zoo. He's amazing as well. They paint some humongous murals, like gigantic, around the world, and it's just fun watching his career take off and the things that he does with spray paint and bucket paint. I could never imagine doing myself. I'd like to, but yeah, it's insane. So I'm just jumping around, making messes everywhere that I'm gonna come through and clean up detail. Just gonna kind of step back and squint and see what areas need to be touched upon. How do you feel about landscapes? I love landscapes. I'm working on a landscape painting right now to the left, but you can't see it. But it's a fantasy landscape. It's not like I'm sitting painting an actual landscape, which I think those are awesome too. I think some of my favorite painters are stuff to look at for landscapes. You can learn a lot from that stuff. Did you get a chance to ever paint with Animal? He was from my hometown, kind of full circle. Never knew skate was buried here also, kind of full circle. I never painted with Animal. I did talk to him a couple times, and then he passed, which really sucked. Um, yeah, we've had a lot of people passing in the graffiti world, and it's sad. It's like the older you get, the more difficult it gets seeing names just flying by you and going on to eternity. It's sad. You start missing your friends and the people you came up with. A lot of them have become examples for my sons, especially my oldest son. Just, on how it is we should live and stuff like that. It's like, man, there's been a lot of sad stuff you see from, I don't know, I guess just the older you get, more people start passing and old friends, and I've had a lot of that over here lately. So everything's not always fun and games, but you make the best out of it and you just keep going. But I'm not gonna try to be a downer. I have your book, Drawn to the Well. Love this book. Oh, thank you. Really love that book. That's the newest book. It was the sequel to Drawn from the Well, which was my very first book. I guess, 17 years ago, maybe longer. And then I did 2 painting books, and then The Outside, and then self-titled, Greg Craola Simkins. And then we have a small children's book from the stop motion project, I'm Scared, that I did with C4 Tunes. Very happy with all of them. And my publisher, Zero Plus Publishing, did Drawn to the Well. They also did my self-titled painting book, which is sold out. So the only book we have available now is Drawn to the Well, and I love it. It's not just drawings, there's paintings, it's process, it's before and after, like sketch to, here's the sketch, now here's what, here's the finished painting, stuff like that. It has a lot of graffiti in it, a lot of my digital work. So yeah, it's well-rounded. It's a well-rounded book. We've been in the talks of doing another one. I've got a lot of new paintings that haven't been published in books yet, so might be time to start another one. Here. Where's that dark color? There it is. Get wet. All right, I'm trying to keep answering questions. Are you ever going to do reprints of Drawn from the Well? No, we never. Well, that publisher went out of business, so he's not making books anymore. So no. Unfortunately, it'd be nice to be able to do reprints of books. My current publisher, he has all my files, so I think the next book's going to be a whopper. We might include a lot of stuff that people have been wanting from Drawn from the Well in it. It's going to have a lot of stuff in it, so it'll be worth it. Let me see any other questions. Was there one painting that was a game changer for your career, or was all step by step? Oh, there was a painting that was a game changer. I was just sharing this with some friends the other day. There were paintings that led up to me doing that painting. All the paintings that I was doing and posting on like MySpace and whatever on my first website, imscared.com, was getting me seen by people, so that I was invited to be in a show at Gallery 1988 in Hollywood called I Am 8-Bit. And this show was, the theme was video games, which was perfect because I worked in the video game industry. And my painting's name was Pac-Man in Hospice. And I called it that because my grandfather had gone into hospice around that time. But it gave me the idea of painting Pac-Man as like an old man in a wheelchair being cared for by Centipede, And like there's Dig Dug in there and Cubert and Joust. I pretty much fit in as much video game references as I could. And the painting sold to a executive at Cartoon Network, like before the show even opened, which just kind of gave me the confidence that maybe I could make it as a painter outside of working in video games. And so I just kept working on my paintings, and I got to meet Jensen Karp and Katie Chroma, who owned the gallery, and they sat me down and said, "Why aren't you doing this full time?" I'm like, "Well, I need to have a solid job, so I have my insurance taken care of, and I want to start a family eventually." They're like, "Well, we think you pretty much you could do this full time," and they kind of gave me that confidence to give it a shot. And I got the blessing of my friends at Activision at Treyarch, and I entered my journey into working with galleries. It was Gallery 1988 and then 5024 SF, which is Upper Playground in San Francisco. Both of them gave me my first shows, and it's just been snowballing ever since. I've been able to show in galleries and museums around the world, which in my wildest years, I never thought I'd be able to do it. I always wanted to. I go to gallery shows and go, man, I want to do this one day, but I gotta keep working. And then this just became my full-time job. But yeah, that one painting, Pac-Man in Hospice, turned into a lot of more paintings for me. Could probably just Google it, it'll pop up. That was a fun painting. Really great gallery. Gave me my start. I'm with Mary Karnowski now, who was one of the very first galleries I went to enjoying this scene, which is pop surrealism, or used to be called lowbrow. I call it the Juxtaposed School of Art, basically. Grew up looking at Juxtaposed and Heavy Metal magazine. And then Blab magazine. There's a Blab magazine art show on the 7th, I believe. Next Saturday, not this one, next Saturday in Santa Monica. I have a piece in that show. I'll show you guys at the end of this session. I have the piece right here, but it's going to be in that show, and really excited about that. It's at Copernason Gallery, which is a great gallery at Bergamot Station in Santa Monica. Anybody's in the LA area, you should come down. But I'm also working on my solo show for May, so if anybody's in Los Angeles in May, you should come down. I should have worked on an area that was more finished so it doesn't look so bad. But at least you guys get to see how long it looks bad until it starts looking good. We might not even get to the good part today, but I do want to stop and just answer and talk to you guys and answer as many questions as I can, because it's hard to look at questions while I'm painting. So nice to see you paint real time. Time Lamp says, give a false impression of how quickly results should be achieved. Absolutely true. And the only reason I do only time lapses is because, well, I'll do these too, the live paint and chats, but I don't have a nicer camera that in the storage space it takes for all the footage is crazy, and I haven't got that figured out. So I shoot time lapse on an old iPhone to make my videos because it's much more cost effective. And it's easy. I can just have it running all day long and just edit it later. I'm actually editing a new video that I'm going to drop tomorrow, so you guys can watch a new video tomorrow as well. And I'll show you a little bit of that in a few. Have you ever made tutorial videos? I have a couple out there. You could actually see one on Trekell's YouTube page. So it's Trekell. That's the paintbrush company. That's my sponsor. And they're a wonderful company. My favorite brushes on the planet. I have my new set coming out with them. I think it's set number 10 or 11. Maybe it's 11. But yeah, I have a few tutorials on there. I have a couple tutorials on my pages, but it's usually just capturing the time lapse of the painting unfolding. I feel you can learn a lot from that. I learn a lot from watching people's time lapses. I know it's not the best, but that's what I'm going to be able to do for right now, especially because of the way I paint, and it just works best for me. I'm not really a teacher, to be honest. I'm not Today, I'll try to explain the best I can, but I've never thought of myself as a teacher. I guess we all teach what we know. We can show what we know, but I don't have all the right terminology. I don't have, I don't have the cleanest palette. I don't have, the cleverest way to explain things like a lot of online teachers do. All I'm doing is showing you what I do. I like to paint, and I'm usually stuck in my head, daydreaming all day doing this stuff, so it's kind of weird to be talking. And it's hard to talk about what I'm doing because I always feel like I'm figuring out while I'm going, if that makes sense. Always figuring it out, not quite sure what I'm going to do next, but somehow it gets there in the end. And that's hard to teach because it's like, yeah, here, mess it up until it looks like that thing that's in your head. But I don't know what's in anybody else's head. Only they do, and they have to figure it out for themselves. That's why I think actually painting every day is the best way to learn, way more than somebody trying to explain it to you. Just sit down and mess around, push the paint around, see what happens. All of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh, I get it. I didn't have to listen to that guy. Like I usually, if I have people over and I'm painting, we're never talking about the painting. We're just talking about, life shit. What kind of dumb thing my kid did to piss me off, or, what are we gonna make for dinner, or let's go to the beach later, or dumb stuff like that. Or if there's any walls to go paint. Do you plan out all of your paintings digitally? Yeah, most of them. I enjoy it because once I'm done painting in here for the day, I take my iPad in the house and I'll either, make dinner, I'll get everybody situated, do whatever chores I need to do around the house, errands, whatever. And then I'll sit down on the couch with my wife. We'll chit chat about the day, catch up, see what needs to get done. I'll have my iPad with me and I could take a picture of the canvas, start laying things out on top of it. I'll take photos of my sketchbook, everything in my sketchbook that I've been thinking about recently, and start just dropping things in, thinking about the stories I've been writing, how they fit along with it. Is it something I want to do now, or is it something I'm going to archive for down the road? I have paintings I'll start now that have been sitting in sketchbooks for years, but it's like finally I had the opportunity to do that certain thing, and it's kind of nice. Good day from Tasmania. Oh, that's rad. Did I paint a Tasmanian devil once? Gosh, I don't think I have. I've drawn Taz from Looney Tunes a bunch of times, but I've never painted one. I should. What time is it in Tasmania? The one video that you did that had the poem in it. Oh yeah, I forgot I let that out. Yeah, sometimes I'll let out some of the stuff I write. That poem is in my book. So there's a whole intro in Drawn to the Well about the world that I paint. But I've been writing for years, pretty much from when my oldest son was born. All the paintings started kind of talking to each other and becoming the world, the outside. And I'm pretty much writing, it's a story about, two boys basically. So, to say it's not about my kids, and it's also a little bit autobiographical, me growing up, fitting into my own kind of Alice in Wonderland scenario. But I've been working on it for years. Just a little bit here and there whenever I'm working on paintings. So I don't show too many people. I want to polish it. But yeah, it's another way for me to get my creativity out. And I can sit anywhere and work on it if I'm out and about. I don't feel like drawing, which is very rare. 7 a.m. in Tasmania, all right. we're coming up on an hour. Is that a... Is that a nod to David Finch? He's an amazing artist, but no, this is a cardinal, not a finch. Or is a cardinal a type of finch? Somebody tell me. I do like drawing finches, though. Okay, so I might stop now. It's about an hour in, and maybe I'll give you a little, you guys want to see the studio a little bit? Here we go. I'm going to answer some questions here. So start throwing some questions at me. Dang it, I need my glasses just to read these too. All right, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit. Oh, I can show you something cool here. Here's something that I was able to work on. I haven't really showed the whole piece yet, but I'll show it here. Just promise not to tell anybody. I'm not gonna say what it's for yet. Here, let me flip this around. Some of you guys might have seen that section, but this was one of my favorite things to paint in a long time, this whole section. So I liked painting that part as well. And then here's the piece that's in the Blab show coming up. It's called Craola Crunch, and you guys might have seen the video for that. I gotta go deliver this. And I'm just gonna show you a small section. I don't wanna give away too much of this big one I'm working on, but just to show some little spots that I've already kind of showed. But you guys know who that character is? It's Kitron. He's been turned to stone. Anyway, that's my studio. And there's me. And I'm gonna show you guys again the finished birds. There's my Jack. Pretty happy with how he came out. There's my Queen. So the wings are gonna look like that in the end. It's gonna take me the rest of the day to get it all perfect. So I showed you like the hour. And there's a study for a blue jay. And then I don't know if you can read those lettering, but I'm not gonna say what that is. And then I've been doing sketches of superheroes, and here's ones that I do not like. Namely this one I started doing of Nightwing. So right here on camera, I think we're gonna destroy it because I don't like it. That would be kind of fun to rip something up, I think. So we can say goodbye to it. Let me get my chair. I will not be finishing this drawing of Nightwing. It's bad, so it sucks. I don't like it. I'm gonna rip it up. So yeah, I screw up a lot of stuff. And this one was one of them. That's gone. All right, I'm gonna answer questions now. And stop being so weird. Okay, questions. See a Nightwing, yep. Have you thought about doing a cartoon with your characters? Yeah, we actually sat and pitched stuff for years, me and my team from I'm Scared Project, and then another team as well. We had pitched to, you name it, HBO, Disney, DreamWorks, Netflix, every single thing on the planet. And you know, it takes a lot of years for people to develop stuff, and it got kind of too much. Like, it's something that takes away from painting, and I prefer to paint and draw than do that kind of stuff. So we let it kind of absolve itself, and I'm just painting full time. I have my cartoon characters. I built a whole world with my Stabby character, but I'm doing stuff with. But maybe one day, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep creating my world and making it all kind of connect. Have had a creative block recently, but seeing you paint makes you want to jump right back into it. Cool, El Devo. Get back to painting. Do you need an apprentice? Nope. I've had apprentices. One of my best friends, Graham Curran, started off as my apprentice. Then he became an assistant, worked on a lot of cool projects with me. Gosh, yeah, he was awesome. And my buddy Jordan was a apprentice as well. He was great. But once we moved into this house with this smaller space, I haven't really needed it. I used to have a couple big warehouses I'd work out of, share with a couple friends, Bob Dobb and Kevin Pasco, and then Graham. And then once I came here, I don't really want other people around. Kind of a hermit. Any more baseball cards in the works? No, but I did finally get them out of storage and archive them all the other day. It was 2 days ago. I pulled all the baseball cards down and counted them all. We're going to be releasing signed baseball cards probably for holiday. So all the cards I did are finally going to get signed and sent out or put up on the store pretty soon. Where will you be able to buy playing cards? Probably online. You should go to Fulton Playing Cards. He makes the best. Brad Fulton does the best job. Ever come to the East Coast? It's been a while. I used to show at Joshua Liner Gallery in New York, so I was over there a few times. I haven't been in years. Can I read without my glasses? Dang it. Yeah, I don't have any plans on going to the East Coast anytime soon. I just plan on sitting locked in the studio painting until my show. Do I use matte mediums? Yes, I use matte mediums. Nova Color is my favorite brand. They sponsor me as well. I recommend their matte medium above all others. I use it on every painting. Thank you for sharing. Have I tried tattooing? Yes, I have. I've probably done maybe 25, 20, I don't know, over 20 tattoos. And it's usually on friends that are tattoo artists, have the setup, or they got done tattooing me and they say, oh, tattoo me. I used to do different tattoo conventions where I would teach a painting seminar. I would do a whole painting start to finish. Gosh, I should do that on here. Nah, I should do that on a site dedicated to a class. Yeah. Should I do that? Should I do a class site that teaches that kind of stuff? I've been looking at different apps that might make that easier and actually tutor people. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I should do something like that. But yeah, I would go to tattoo conventions, one namely Hell City, and I would teach my thing. One morning, one of the tattooers snuck me into the tattoo floor before it opened up, and I tattooed him. I've tattooed lots of friends. Yeah. Tell me about that worm with the teeth. I can't tell you about it yet, but I'll tell you all about it later. I have a video already ready to go. I'm going to add to that painting as well. So that was the first stage, and now I'm going to add a second layer to it. I'm going to film that too, so it's going to be a long video. But I'm excited. I'm going to add like a moon in the back with these moth worms everywhere. You know, moth worms. Everybody's seen those. Have you tried whether retarder works pre-dyed on the fabric, or is it always better to just mix with the colors? I've done it on straight to canvas. I've had just the retarder by itself. I had a horror story happen on a painting. It was the cover of my book, The Outside. It's called Stuck Outside or To the Outside or something like that. And I didn't really know how to use the acrylic retarder at the time. And I just layered the whole background, and I just made this nice blurred up blue background color. And I didn't let it dry right. And every time I tried to touch it, the paint would come back off. And I ended up having to kind of scrap it, wipe it down, matte medium over the whole thing, and then just go ahead with water and reapproach learning how to use it. And that was 17 years ago or something. And then I figured it out. I figured out if I mix it with 50% acrylic retarder, 50% slow dry matte, and I put those 50-50 together, watch it in the video. When I use it, it kind of works perfect. How do I deal with artist block and lack of motivation to be able to consistently crank out? I don't really get artist block, especially because of the sketchbooks, and I have so many. If I start filling a block, I'll just start drawing graffiti letters in my sketchbook, and then kind of evolve around it, little characters and stuff. All of a sudden, the artist block is gone, and I feel inspired to paint again. Getting motivated. I just like being in here. What else do we got? Hopefully I'm answering these questions okay. It's kind of, why birds? Any special connection to them? Birds are awesome. It's like jewels darting around the sky. The fact that they can fly is amazing. I've always been fascinated with birds. When I was a little kid, my parents bought us ducks. They thought that, my mom saw these baby ducks at the pet store and thought they were cute, and you know, she was right. And so we raised the ducks. A raccoon came and killed one of them, which sucked. I went outside, it was just like blood and feathers everywhere, and I went and I found my other duck hiding, and it was all mangled, and I nursed it back to health. So at that point, I was probably like 9, and then I wanted to be a veterinarian my whole life up until I started college because of that. So, you know, I had a connection with my duck that I was able to nurse back to health, and it was like my best friend. That, and, you know, I had a bunch of animals, dogs, cats, you know, hamsters, whatever. But that duck was pretty awesome. So yeah, I should do I've done drawings and paintings of white ducks. I should do some more. I got a duck snake I'm working on right now. Well, I'll show you. You can't really tell what it is. I won't show you yet. All right, what do we got? Let's scroll down. Any tips on juggling painting consistently and dad duties? It's hard. I mean, all I gotta say is it's frustrating, but you definitely got to put the time in with the kids. I get up every morning before everybody else. I cook them breakfast, make sure they eat a bunch of eggs, both of them. They're both active boys. They need some protein in the morning to get them going so they can stay awake throughout the whole day of school and get on to whatever wrestling or jiu-jitsu, whatever they're going to do later. So I need, you know, spend that time with them. And they know, it gets to a point where if I'm in here working, I'm working. But I don't work past dinner time. Spend time with them if they want to spend time with me. The older they get, the less time they want to spend with me. Which, it gets sad, you know, you watch them grow up and it's like, oh, there went my best friend. I used to spend like just every day at the skate park with my oldest son, but now he's 17 and it's like, you know, you don't want to be with your dad all the time. So that's life. You're nursing your guinea pig. That's cool. Guinea pigs are rad. How'd you come up with the Simkin characters in your paintings? Oh, just years of drawing. Gosh, that's I don't know how. That's just the way my brain works. Oh, you got a dying to get in frame. Awesome. That was a fun painting. I'm going to keep answering some more questions for maybe about 5 more minutes. Anybody? Gosh, I might have missed some of your questions earlier in the stream. Here's what we were working on. Oh, I know what I was going to show you. I'll show you a little clip of the video I'm editing. You'll see it tomorrow. If you want to watch it tomorrow. Let me flip this around, turn this off. So I got to edit this image. I just got my scans back. I get everything scanned high res. So I'm working on an alphabet also, but I've only got the first 3, the ABC done. But so I'm editing, edit. So this will probably be the rest of my day, and then more painting. So yeah. And then there's my lovely wife. And my friends who've passed and gone on before us. And then a picture with my favorite artist, Robert Williams. Good friend Greg Craola who passed. And a bunch of toys I made back here. Oh, I didn't make this one. It's my Lakai toy that they gave me. They're amazing company. More on that. And then I did a Garbage Pail Kid. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that. I have that painting. So, yeah, my very own Garbage Pail Kid. That was pretty cool. Bunch of dunnies. can see how big that painting is behind. That's all you get though. All right, what do we got here? Any more questions? Can you give advice on developing characters? Get your sketchbook out, draw it a billion times, or not a billion times, just draw them a bunch of times, any ideas you have, and then take a picture of it. I don't know if you're working on an iPad, and redraw it in Procreate a bunch of times, try different poses. Just keep drawing over the top and over the top, over the top. If you want to do it with paper, just get tracing paper out, draw over the top until you have your characters figured out. Has anyone ever cosplayed one of your characters? Yeah, somebody did my White Knight character, whose name is Ralph. It's this guy. He was in our stop motion cartoon, but I've seen somebody dress up as him before. Even my kids did once when we did the film release. When you record, do you record every second? How do you juggle recording and painting? So I just set up a time lapse on my, I'll show you what I film on. This is how I film. So this thing has been filming time lapse this whole time. And I can have this thing running the whole day. Just turn it off and on if I'm gonna go eat or go get water or something. But I can turn it off right now because I'm not painting. And then I'll move all those files to the computer later, and then I will edit for a long time. What was that? Oh, RLD Studio, you got one of the November. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I want to do more of those. As dad to dad, when your kid comes in 12, use belt or hand. Oh, we're not talking about that kind of stuff here. How does one get started learning lettering? I guess you just pick up a pen. Here's what I like to use. I'll show you my pens set up. My backpack has, well, I have my graffiti stuff for if I'm out and about. Marker, I have a mini spray can in here, lettering stuff, slap tag stickers. This is my graffiti on the go backpack if I'm out and about. But if I'm doing lettering, I'm using this parallel pen. It's basically a calligraphy pen. Or my very favorite, it's up here, put it in my backpack someplace and I'm able to find it on the spot. Oh, there it is. These brush pens, Pentel brush pens. I do all my lettering with that. It's the best. And I can work out all my lettering with these things, and then I'll scan them in and I'll vectorize them in Illustrator. Let me flip this around. If I vectorize them in Illustrator, I could do a bunch of stuff with them. So yeah. All right, so we can start lettering. You put your first layer of acrylic. You start off with a local color. Are you looking for a mid-tone value in color? In this situation, yeah, I was looking for something kind of in the middle that I know is going to be opaque. That raw sienna is super opaque, unlike the reds that you want it to look like. So I know I could render dark to light on top of that thing for a long time, and then start throwing in highlights, and then glaze it with the red, the cadmium reds and oranges that I want to use, and then it's going to work out right. But I don't always just, I could have done that thing and just warm gray the entire thing and then glazed all the color in afterward. I just didn't want to do that on this. I feel like I'd get messy over that white, and I'm trying to keep that white, pure white, for when I do my scanning and separating it from the background and making the cards, because I'm going to do that all digitally once I have the scans. Do I also do sculpting? I only do digital sculpting right now. It'd be fun to actually sculpt, but I don't have a lot of time. So for now, I just enjoy some different sculptors online. Ever have plans of coming to Indiana, or do I have to come to LA to get a picture with you? Yeah, I've never been to Indiana. I've been to different places that have sponsored painting workshops, but I just haven't done them in years. Just, it gets harder to travel, especially when a lot of stuff to work on. Where are you from? I'm from just south of Los Angeles. I live in the South Bay, I live in Torrance. So the other day we drove to my buddy Slick's art show in downtown LA, and coming home door to door was 26 minutes. Super plastic figures brought. Oh, cool. That's rad. How can I improve how to blend colors to get a look of realism? I have difficulty blending colors. Kind of like what I said when we were painting, but just do it every day. Go through the time right now when it's hard, and you're gonna figure out through all the difficulty how to make it work easier. You're gonna develop those steps by just doing it. You have to. It's like somebody can't really tell you how as much as just tell you to do it every day, and then you'll be able to. Is there a way to keep acrylic wet for like 2 to 3 days on palettes? No. I guess you can. Some people have a wet palette. It's like a wet paper towel, this plastic tray. They make it damp. They put their acrylics down, and then at the end they close it. They put it in the freezer. I really don't care that much. I usually mix it in bottles and then just put a little bit out at a time and let it dry in the palette, and then peel the whole palette off after a while and throw it. How many shows a year do you do now? Dude, now it's like one every other year. I used to do 3 shows a year. That was way too much. Hello, Dave Skidmore. Be careful with the wet palettes of paint, can get mold. Yeah, probably. I don't use them, so that's probably very true. Let's see if there's any questions I missed. All right, I think we should wrap up soon. I'm gonna get back to editing this next video so I can put it out tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow or Sunday. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Do you have fun paintings with your kids? I have 3 and they love when I include them with my art. Both kids have experienced times of painting with me and drawing with me. I put them in my paintings. The painting I'm working right now, they're both going to be in it. And then, yeah, my oldest one used to sit and draw stuff with me, but he's off running around, having fun. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'll do another one of these in a couple weeks. Maybe show some more fun stuff, all right? Thank you for joining. Take care.